Chapter 22. As soon as I got home, I went to the closet and traveled to Dad's realm. He wasn't there, but I didn't think I needed him to do what I planned. I looked down to figure out where I was. I knew it wasn't Texas. Too much snow on the ground. Even though I'd never stepped foot in Dallas, I imagined myself there. My power did the rest. I was on a single cloud in a relatively cloudless sky. I knew I was in the right place since I'd seen it before. I created more clouds. Then I brought the rain. It fell hard. From what I was told before I destroyed the birds, the plague was confined to Dallas. I used the rain as a cloak and traveled to the ground. I took a moment to appreciate my situation. This was the first time I'd ever come to the mainland, the first time I'd seen anything other than Dargo Island. There were so many buildings surrounding me. The hundreds of windows lit up, and some of the buildings themselves were lit by multicolored lights. I'd never seen anything like it before. The streets were surprisingly empty, considering what Josh had told me of the city. I couldn't blame it on the rain because the streets had been pretty empty before I landed. I walked into a bookstore and looked around. There were people in here, some showing signs of the plague. This store looked just like the one on the island. It smelled nice, too, of coffee and cookies and books. These weren't new smells to me, but they were just what I needed at the moment. I sat down and read a newspaper. No other cities reported the disease, and hopefully soon, this city wouldn't speak about it again. I went to the nearest hospital, which was also fairly similar to the one in the palace, and left the cure and a note on a nurse's station telling the doctors what it was, and that they were free to test it. I wouldn't be sure if my plan worked until the next day, at least, so I returned to Dad's realm, and then teleported home to the island. "Where were you?" Mom asked when I stepped out of the closet. "Keep this to yourself, but I cured Dallas of the plague." "How?" I told her. "That was elaborate. How did you get the cure?" "I stole it from Dargo's palace." "Astrid!" Her eyes were wide. "How else did you think I got it? He didn't even know I was there, and hopefully he never will. But we have another problem. He made another bird, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last. We have to stop him and get rid of the bird." "Let's get Anila and Victor," Mom said. "Whatever we come up with, they should be involved." They joined us, though Victor still seemed depressed. I didn't regret bringing him in on this, and figured he just needed something to do. Estevan joined us as well, and I told them everything I'd done, including finding the skeleton in the wardrobe. "Why would he still have that?" Estevan asked. "Sentimental value?" Anila guessed. "I doubt it," he said. "It's like he needs it, or something, but is trying not to draw attention to it. Otherwise, he would have locked it in a safe or something." "Why does he need sleep?" Victor asked. It was the first thing he'd said during the meeting, though he'd asked in a distracted way. He was staring out the window behind me. "I guess he has to respect his host's limitations," I said. "He probably still needs to eat and use the bathroom." "Do you think he would be susceptible to sleeping potions?" Anila asked. "Maybe. Why?" "If we could slip something into his food or drink, we could lock him up somewhere until we figure out what to do with him." "That sounds like a temporary solution," Victor said, though he didn't sound pleased. "It's better than nothing," Anila countered. "It's not like we can kill him without killing Josh." "Josh sounds like he's prepared to die to save us." "No!" Estevan yelled. "He's my friend, and what's happening to him isn't his fault. We have to help him." He still has the ability to leech off of someone's life force, Mom said, though he chooses not to use it. If Dargo's in charge of that power now, killing him would be difficult anyway.
Not if we lock him in a room away from other people,
Victor said. Do you hate Josh or something? Esteban asked.
I adore the boy, but we can't let Dargo continue on with his plan.
Victor was involved with our discussion now, no longer looking lost in his thoughts.
Astrid may have cured Dallas, but if he makes more birds, it will start all over again. At the palace, Josh told us to kill him, remember?
Esteban didn't reply. Instead, he turned away from Victor, whom he sat next to on the couch. I don't know if separating him would work anyway, Mom said. I don't think proximity has much to do with his power. The day he died in a tornado, I was probably the closest person to him, but he ended up leeching off a boy 20 feet away. Just some random kid. Everyone would have to be really far away.
We could cut off his head,
Victor suggested. Are you freaking kidding me? Esteban said, facing him again. That might work, but again, Josh was completely dead that day. His power still sought out a life force, even when the body was shut down. Besides, could any of us really bring ourselves to cut off Josh's head? Victor shook his head.
It was just a thought.
Something else that bothers me, I said, is how Dargo talks. It seems so modern. If he really was locked in that cage for 100 years, why doesn't he talk like someone from that time period? And why keep his original skeleton? And how did he know the key was in his chamber? Anila added. Andor said his great-grandfather was the one who tried to release Dargo, but he got trapped in the chamber. A thought came to me. What if Dargo did escape?
What do you mean?
Everyone asked at once. What if Andor's great-grandfather did release Dargo, and then got possessed? Then, say, he returned to his chamber to get the birds, but then the rocks fell outside the door. Dargo is a powerful wizard, Mom said. Why not just push the rocks away with his power? Maybe he's not as powerful in someone else's body, Esteban guessed, and I thought it sounded plausible. The great-grandfather dude died in the chamber, and Dargo returned to his original body. The skeleton? Anila finished. That's why he keeps the skeleton in a place that's not locked up. Maybe he automatically gets drawn back to it, despite his wishes. Now that the skeleton is out of a prison cell, he can just leave it again if he gets drawn back. Think of it as a temporary headquarters. What would happen if that HQ was destroyed? Anila asked.
Good question,
Victor said, twirling his red beard. Wait a minute, Mom said. Why did the second island appear when Josh took the crystal from the chamber? I still don't get that. Well, Rockney is the one who cloaked the island, I said. Maybe Dargo couldn't banish that spell, so he cast one on the key before his host died. So that when someone found it, his spell could override Rockney's. That is so convoluted, Esteban said, rubbing his forehead. But it does make a crazy kind of sense, Anila said. How do we know if Dargo has figured out how to use Josh's power? He asked.
We can kill him and find out,
Victor suggested. Esteban looked at him. Are you volunteering to sacrifice yourself? Victor laughed for the first time in days.
Perhaps.
The first thing we should attempt is to destroy the skeleton, Anila said. That would limit Dargo's options if anything happened to his host. We also have to destroy the bird, I said. And we should think of a way to get rid of Dargo without killing Josh.
And if we can't?
Victor asked. It took me a moment to reply. Finally, I said, Then we'll have to kill Josh as well.
I know of something we can use,
Victor said.
Something we can drug him with. It will kill him slowly and in a way that may drive Dargo out of the body. But it's in a dangerous part of the island.
I perked up. A quest? He smiled as well.
Yes, my dear. A quest.